Ethical Perspectives on the News is produced by the Interreligious Council of Linn County, which is solely responsible for its content. The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KCRG TV9.
Good day, and thank you for joining us on Ethical Perspectives on the News. My name is Linn. I will moderate our discussion today, and our topic is what can we learn from schools in other countries? To help us with this conversation, I have with me three students who are in the United States studying, but whose homes are in other countries. So first I introduce Marcus Quirk. Marcus is studying with me at Cornell College. That's my day job. I teach computer science at Cornell College. And then Nina Watrin, yes, who is coming to us from Germany and is now a student at College. And Xizi is a student from China, also at Cornell College. So why don't you say just a few words of introduction about yourself? Xizi, why don't we start with you here?
I'm from China, and Shijiazhuang, that's my city. It's around Beijing.
Okay.
And I'm really glad to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Nina from Germany, say some more about.
Yeah, I'm from Germany. I'm from Mainz, it's near Frankfurt, but I study at Landau University, and I'm here for one exchange semester at College.
Okay. So when did you arrive here in the United States?
About 5 weeks ago.
And Xizi, you've been in the United States before.
Yes.
In your most recent visit, when did you arrive?
2016.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Anchorage, Alaska for exchange student.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Marcus was a student in one of my courses last year. He's in his second year at Cornell College, playing basketball for us. Something more about yourself?
So I'm from the UK. I went to school in Brunei, which is my mother's home country, and also in England before I came here to play basketball.
Okay, very good. All right, so I want to point out, I proposed this topic to our producers after I read a book on this subject. So I want to show you this book. So this is The Smartest Kids in the World and How They Got That Way. This is Amanda Ripley, who writes about education. She spent a year studying schools in other countries, and she enlisted the help of 3 American students who had gone overseas to study for a year in another country and kind of give her the inside view of those schools. So let's get started on what some of the differences might be. I'm going to start with you, Nina, because I know a little bit about German schools. So we were talking before, there might be a point in a student's education where they make a choice between a track that leads to university and another study that might lead to an internship and work and vocation.
Yeah.
Can you describe that system for us just a little bit?
So you go to primary school from grade 1 to grade 4, and after primary school you have the option to go to high school or to secondary school. And if you go to high school, you start at grade 5 and end at grade 12 or 13, it depends on the school you're going. And there you can make your Abitur, and after this you have like the key to go to university. If you don't go to high school and do not visit like Oberstufe, you can go for vocation like learning a job or something, but you cannot go to university. So that's the main difference.
So at least in the pretty recent past, in some European countries, some students left school at a younger age than they might in the United States. They might leave school at 16 and begin working full-time. Is that still the case in Germany?
Yes, so if you go to secondary school, like what is Realschule in German, you end with 16, I think, but then you cannot go to university. So kids who go from school, they are about 19 and then they can start university.
And we should define that word Abitur for our audience here.
Yeah. So Abitur is the school leaving examination, so it's called the key to go to university. So once you pass Abitur, you can go to university.
Okay, so in China they have Gaokao, and in Britain they have A-level exams. Yeah. So let's hear a little comparison. These are school leaving exams in other countries. Now, the book I read, Amanda was impressed by this. She thought that these kind of examinations help students or encouraged a greater seriousness about study. She saw a value in these exams. But in China, we hear about the great stress this puts on students. Say something about your experience with that.
Yeah, we have a lot of stress in my country. In my own view, I learned we have to learn for the not only for Gaokao, and also for Zhongkao. What is Zhongkao? It's high school entrance examination.
Right.
Like if you even cannot get into high school, we don't have to talk about college. Like if you didn't even get a good high school, I mean, it means over. You have to find a job, you have to feed yourself, your family. So normally, because in my age, because the one kids policy, you will only have one kids in your home. So that's why you put all your expectation on
Right.
one kids, so you will have a lot of stressor.
So your experience, you studied more than one country, you returned to England and studied there. And you called it, to me, you called it a college rather than a high school. So this is
Right.
the end of your secondary education, but I think different than an American high school. Maybe?
Well, so when you finish your exams at 16,
Yep.
which are called GCSEs, the General Certificate of Secondary Education,
Uh-huh.
that's like the first point where, as a student, you're being examined by like a national body that is setting these exams and grading them. So you take those exams when you're 16, and then afterwards, that's where the choice comes, whether you want to go to a college or a sixth form, or do an apprenticeship, or study something more vocational. So A levels are what I did and what most people do, and that's usually the more academic route that you would take if you wanted to go to university. So when I say I went to college in the UK, that word is sort of interchangeable almost with sixth form in the UK. It's not quite, but it's basically what you do when you finish secondary school at 16. So not quite the same as what college is here.
So in my reading in this book and in other sources, I also read about differences in the daily lives of secondary school students in other countries. So in some countries, students are leaving high school in the afternoon and going straight into a tutoring program. So there's some countries where these students are working from dawn till midnight. What was your sort of daily routine during your high school years? And in the United States, they might be heavily involved in school sports, which is kind of unusual in the rest of the world. Why don't you tell us a little bit about gymnasium in Germany?
So first of all, I went to an all-day school, so I had school from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Okay.
So it was like, I spent many hours a day in school. But I got used to it. In the beginning it was kind of hard because we came from primary school, which was only until, I think, 12 or 1,
Right.
and then until 4, and that was pretty hard. But the cool thing was my friends were also in school, so we spent a lot of time with our friends in school and not out of school, but also out of school, but also in school.
And then when you went home, were you free then and you studied on your own, or were there organized activities after the end of class?
So I had to study. Like when I got home, we didn't have that much homework. That was the cool thing compared to other schools. So they promised us to have less homework, but they still kept us busy. So it was not like that we didn't have homework or something. But I spent time with my family and with my friends.
Did you go to a neighborhood school, or did you choose a school that was more distant and had some special attraction for you?
What do you mean?
So in the United States, I think most students are attending a school that's in their neighborhood. The choice of the school is determined by where you live. But some students might choose a school based on the curriculum or the level of challenge, and they might travel some distance across the city to get to that school. Did you have a choice of schools when you?
Yeah, we had the choice of schools, but I went to this school because my father was at this school, so it was easy for me to get there. And it was about 15 minutes away from my home. So.
You mean he was a teacher there, or
No, he was just a student there when he was young.
Oh,
so it was
okay.
the same school as my dad.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Xizi,
I got jealous.
yeah,
I'm jealous for American kids.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, to be honest, I'm so jealous because in my country, high school students, they are so hard. I mean, I have 1 year of high school experience in my country and a normal school, like not foreign language school. I woke up 5:30 every morning to do exercise. And then
At the school?
Yeah, in the school. I mean, we cannot leave the school. I leave the school.
Okay.
And at 6 o'clock in the morning, we have to read out loud. And we call that read out loud. And then 7 o'clock, okay, the first class began. Until 12 o'clock in the afternoon, the morning class is over. And then 1:30 in the afternoon, the afternoon class is started. And then 7 o'clock at night, the afternoon class is over. and hold up, at 8:30, we call that night study. All the students have to stay in the classroom and do their homework. And then 10 o'clock, you are allowed to go back to sleep. But actually, nobody go to sleep. I don't. We have to prepare for everything tomorrow. So normally, I go to sleep around 11 o'clock something, and then wake up 5:30 every morning. And we only have half day off in 1 week. In Sunday afternoon, I'm free.
Something in between, Marcus, maybe?
See, when I went to school in England, I only took 4 subjects. The norm in the UK when you take A levels is usually 3 to 4 subjects. We specialize a lot earlier than here in the US, so sort of theoretically to prepare you for university. So I took maths, further maths, which was a separate subject if you wanted to do more maths, I guess, and geography and physics. So in a day, we had 5 periods, and since I was taking 4 subjects, you would have an hour of each, and then 1 free period. I'm sure possibly they have that here in the US as well. So I was at school from about half 8 in the morning till 3 p.m., 4 hours of lessons, and otherwise in your free period you're expected to be studying. But once you finished school at 3 o'clock, freedom was yours. You could do what you want, study, work, whatever, play sports in my case.
Okay, so some of the other differences that I've read about, and I want your impressions on this, are that in some of the highest performing schools around the world, students, in some of the accounts I've read, are more independent and self-sufficient than American students. They get less specific direction on how to accomplish a task, and they're given less frequent checks on their progress, right? Given an assignment, go away, when you're done, come back and show us you got the work done. Is that, as you meet American students, is that an impression that resonates with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely feel like when I came to the US, everything about your classes and your homework and your studying is a lot more structured here. Like, for example, your homework accounts for part of your grade. That was something that was a very new concept to me. You expected, hey, this is when you need to start your work, you need to do this, 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 and then tomorrow hand it in to me at this time. And even though this is university, even then it's still different to what I experienced when I was studying for my A levels. It was always, here's the work you should be doing if you want practice. It's up to you whether you want to get it done. So it was on the student if they wanted to succeed, really.
And what do you think motivates students to have that kind of self-discipline? Any one of you?
I feel like I'm in a vacation because the class are so easy. Serious.
You've only been with us 4 weeks here.
Serious.
Maybe we can step it up for you next time.
And one more thing I want to mention is I heard American kids took sports very seriously.
Right.
But in my country, sports, it's an interest.
Right.
It depends. If you like it, or maybe you want to be an athlete or something, maybe you will not have that much of homework. You will work out more. But it's an interest. It depends on people. But 99% of the people, they do things like I do. They stay in the class. And I heard this morning, my professor told us, oh, just come to the class. You will do good. I think, what? That's not a requirement? Like, you don't come to class? Seriously? That's not an option in my country. You don't go to class, your parents will call to school, and you're done. I mean, you probably will get, I mean, your parents will probably get mad at you very seriously. They took that very seriously.
So I want to ask as well, another possible difference is the success of some schools in getting every student to study mathematics and foreign language all the way through, rather than giving students an out to say, you know, I don't have that aptitude and I'm going to drop the foreign language or drop the mathematics early on. Can you comment on that part of your education? So these are subjects that are challenging for many students. Foreign language and mathematics in your experience. What did you have in school?
Yeah, so my school really focused on foreign languages, so I had to study, except of German, which is my mother tongue, English, Latin, and French. We could choose between French and Old Greek, so I chose French. And we had to start with all these languages. And until grade 10, I could drop one of the languages, like the foreign languages, so I dropped French. And mathematics has also like a very, very high importance in German schools, so it's not possible to drop mathematics. Yeah, so you have to take it with you.
Okay.
The whole time.
Is there anything, I teach computer science, and I don't know if our audience will recognize everything, but can you give me some hint of how far you go in mathematics and in German?
So I didn't choose it as my main class, I just had it like
Right.
a usual class.
But every year all the way through?
I'm all the way through, so I couldn't drop it at any time. It was not
Okay.
possible.
Xizi?
We don't have an option. All requirements. 7 subject, math, Chinese, English, history, government, and chemistry, physics. Requirements. You don't have a choice. You have to learn it. I don't think this is bad. I mean, for kids, maybe stressful, maybe tired. I don't think this is bad. Because for that, more teenagers will have more knowledge, then they will do good in the future. But to be honest, it is very stressful. For me, I cannot do all A in all my subject. It's so hard. But some students, they do. They get all A in 7 subjects. I don't know how they do that, but I cannot. Like, maybe I'm good at English and Chinese and math, but all other 4 subjects, nah, nah. But they test it. They will have a final test about that. So if you don't do good, you get in trouble. That's how they do.
Marcus, is there a choice in Britain between a scientific curriculum and a social science or humanities kind of thing?
Until you take your GCSEs at 16.
Yeah.
So you have to take English and you have to take maths for your GCSEs. But you also have to take science. And I felt like from people that I've met since I've been in the US, they haven't really studied as much science as I really feel like in the UK, you need to have a good, strong scientific basis when you're in school. But for example, you have to take physics, geography, and chemistry all the way until you take your GCSE examinations in all of those subjects. Whereas I've met people here who've maybe only taken a biology class in high school. And also with computing, when I was at school, I was at a British school in Brunei. Computer science and coding and programming were part of the curriculum for when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, which was the norm. So everyone had some sort of exposure to those subjects.
So this is another interesting point. Amanda Ripley in her book says the highest performing schools do not all have the fanciest technology. Sometimes in the United States we see a lot of attention paid to getting a laptop into the hands of every student and so on. What did you have what did the classroom look like? Was it a...
So basically in Germany we always use the board, like the blackboard on the wall.
Okay.
I was in a netbook class, so every student got a netbook.
Okay.
I think in grade 9, but we just use it for stuff like Moodle, like the platform where our teachers
Right.
upload the stuff we have to learn. And what I noticed that many teachers do not have knowledge about how technology works, so that was the main problem. So we were not very modern in this point.
Okay.
Yes, same thing here. In my country, we don't even have a Moodle. What is that? Nobody uses that. We just do homework, hand it to your professor, and then in the afternoon of the day, they will hand back the homework you did, and you will see which part you did good or which part you did wrong, and the teacher will, it will tell you everything that is wrong in the homework, and you will learn from that. So they're really responsible for that.
So for our audience, Moodle is a kind of software that teachers use to distribute documents to their students. So instead of printing out a handout, they post it on the internet through this software, and students can pick it up that way. I'm interested in your relationships to your teachers as well. So this would not be another difference between the United States and perhaps some other countries. I wanted to bring this home from China. I want my students to stand up when I enter the room. I want them to applaud when I finish. I want them to pull out a broom from the closet when I'm done and sweep up the room.
Be honest, we have a pretty good relationship with our teacher because we stay more time together. Like we have to meet every single day. And maybe you have some problem or you get in trouble and you are not happy with your teacher, then he will talk to you.
Okay.
And you will get cool.
Surprises me a little bit.
Seriously, yes. A lot of students, they don't understand because they're young, they're teenager. They think, oh my God, my professor, why he cared that much? But because he's responsible, he cares about you. If he don't care, he will not even talk about it.
So one of the other American students I read about going to Europe to study was surprised. He said that they learned accidentally about some personal detail of the teacher's life, the teacher's spouse or children, and this was eye-opening for them. They only knew the teacher as the figure who stood at the front of the room. And in the United States, I think many teachers would become involved in helping a student, counseling a student, and so on. So what was that like for you there? Yeah.
So in Germany, I would say it really depends on the teacher and what they want us to be. So I had one teacher, we were really close to her. We also had like WhatsApp group chats where we were chatting about things to do in class, so it was very familiar and very nice. Other teachers just kept the distance from us because they knew their profession is only teaching and not being friends with us. Right. So it really depends on the teacher. We have both sides.
Okay.
I agree that it depends on the teacher. I feel like when I got to my A-levels, my education from 16 to 18, I was maybe a wee bit closer to my teachers than I was before because I was only taking 4 subjects. Maths and further maths were with the same teacher. So you kind of got to know them a little bit about their personal life if they were willing to share. But as you said, their job was to teach. So I don't think it's really that different to the US.
Okay. Now another account I read, the American student was surprised when he went overseas, and there was a math test, and after the test was finished, the teacher announced all the scores. Everybody in the room knew who got what, and the high score was something, the high score was 26 points out of 100 or something. The teacher shocked everybody. So in the United States, I'm restrained. I can't let Marcus know what Xizi got in the classroom. I have to be very careful about protecting their privacy. What was that experience for each of you? Yeah?
When I first got here, I have a popping exam in my class, and I don't think I did good. I'm really nervous. I'm afraid my professor will tell everybody what I got. And then I realized there's a tape on my score. And he said, nobody will know your score before you leave the room. I was so surprised because in my country, the teacher will just have all the scores in their hand. Oh, you got 96. Oh, not good, 26. No. They will say out loud, let everybody know what you got. So sometimes for me, if I didn't do good, I feel like, oh, such a shame. I feel bad. But then that inspires me to do good in the next time. I don't want to be in that position, so I have to work harder.
I don't know exactly what the rules were in the UK about whether teachers were allowed to announce the scores to the class, but I know a few times where they have done such a thing. But I don't think any of the students really ever felt like an invasion of privacy when that happened. It was just, I mean, okay, the teacher's done that, and if it was because they didn't do well, I'll learn from that. Next time I'm going to do better, because I don't want to have that. Well, it's not really an embarrassment, but I don't want to feel that way in front of the whole class. But to do with scores, one of the things I really noticed about being in the US is that when I came to my first class here, and I was given the syllabus, it said, you need 93 to get an A. I thought, I'm never going to get an A if I need to get 93%. But the way everything is graded here is different. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong with this assumption, but I feel like when professors grade, perhaps a long answer question, the default is that you got full marks and we're going to take points off for everything you did wrong. Whereas in the UK, it was always, you've got to earn your marks. So
work your way up from 0 rather than work
so
your way down from 100.
Exactly. Right? So if it's a 6-mark question, many people will be thrilled. Oh, I got 3 or 4. I almost got everything that I needed to get right there. You know. So for an A in some subjects in the UK, you only needed a 70 or a 75, and that was because of the way it was graded. And since I've come here, now my scores are like, I can get those 90s even.
He was a very good student. A very good student.
Maybe.
I only know him from what I heard through the adjoining classroom wall. That's how I know Xizi. Yeah. Okay, so we're down to our last few minutes. You might want to think of some especially great impression that you had when you came to the United States as you met Americans, differences you saw, or a lesson you want to share with our audience, something you want to say to our audience in parting here.
Yeah, I think I'm really surprised they don't have a whole school rank. We call that whole school rank.
Right.
Yeah. You got your grade, they will rank you.
Put your name on a list at the door.
Yes,
right.
they do. And I'm surprised they don't have it here. Like in my country, I can do if I do good or not through that.
What would you like to say?
So I was really surprised how college life really is, because we don't really have college life. Like, it doesn't exist. We don't live on campus.
Right.
The whole thing doesn't exist in Germany. And that you have like these fixed meal times and fixed schedule. So when you go to university in Germany, you can choose your schedule the way you want. So you have more free options. If you want to go to university once a week, you can do that. It's totally up to you. So we really have more opportunities to shape it on our own. And this is kind of the thing I miss, to be honest, because here, as you said, it's more fixed and
Marcus, some last words?
Just one thing I wanted to say that I really noticed between the US and the UK, and I think also in a lot of European countries, is that in the US you don't specialize nearly as early, and perhaps that accounts for the difference in maybe academic attainment being higher in countries in Europe, because students specialize much earlier, therefore they have a greater depth of knowledge rather than breadth of knowledge.
Right. So I thank our students. Very interesting stories from different parts of the world. Thank you for joining us on Ethical Perspectives on the News. There's a lot more to learn about this topic. As I say, I started with a book by Amanda Ripley. You'll find her on the internet and can learn more on your own if you like. Thank you for joining us today. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.